Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Unless you're new here, in that case, welcome to the channel. Jesse is Cadillac Rod and Customs. So, carport is empty. We're about to change that as soon as tires finish airing up over there. I think I'm all caught up on shit, waiting for carburetor parts, so I can't work on that. So, today's episode is going to be color matching the fender caps on the Fury, or attempting to color match the fender caps on the Fury. So, let's get to work. Car's under the cover. We really only need to paint match, back to here, this up into this corner. But I'm going to spray up into the fender a little bit to try to feather some of that out. I got gloss spa blue. It's the closest thing I could find to the actual powder blue of the car. And I got some red primer because it's pretty close to rust color. It's also gray primer. So what I'm going to do is wipe all this down because it's dirty from sitting outside in the wind, in the rain. But I'm going to wipe all this down, and then I'm just going to shoot random spots. Well, you guys will see what I'm talking about in a minute. We start with our red oxide primer, and there's no real pattern to the rust that's already here, so a couple of spots like that, and I'll do the same over here. Like that. That's it for that. Now we got to give that a few minutes to cure up. And while that cures up, I'm going to T-swizzle my sea blue or spa blue. Now that my primer's pretty well cured, I'm going to start spraying the blue here and work my way into the fender a little bit. You can see the line where my primer stops. I'm going to feather my blue just past that to try to feather all this paint together. Remember, don't work in heavy coats. Work in 2 or 3 light coats when you're using spray paint anyway. I'll that a little bit right there. I want to be getting overspraying my pristine inner fender there. So hit it just lightly. That is a way different color than I thought it was going to be. But a way different blue is still better than primer gray, right? Besides, with a few weeks out in the sun, it'll fade right out anyway. Now again, gotta give this a little bit of time to cure, which in aerosol time, we'll give it like, 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'll come back and I'll hit another coat, and then it'll be time to actually do the fun stuff. It's tacky enough that I feel comfortable moving on to the next step here. Now, I've never done this myself, but I've seen it done, and it looks pretty easy. So what we're going to do, you've got a 1-inch brush. You can pretty much use the size you want, but I chose a 1-inch because it seems more manageable. And then I'm going to take, my spray paint cap has this center hole, I'm going to take and spray a bunch of primer into that. And apparently all over myself. It's fine. Then, I'm just going to take my little 1-inch brush here. Just dab it in there. See how it's on the end of the bristles? And then just now, I hate the word, or the term I should say, photina, so I'm not going to use it, but that's pretty much what we're doing here, is we are, take your finger and you can just flip it off the brush as well to make it look like surface rust, or like little bubbles like we have going on up in here. That's a good trick too. That's what I should have done up here. It's too late now. This is a very long process, so don't plan to do this in a hurry. I'm going to just keep trailing my rust down the end here. And they're starting to get the effect here, right? You can just take your brush and roll it around and make little patches of rust like I've got going on here, because I've got little spots of rust like this all over this car. So this, when it dries, it's gonna look okay. But again, I've never done this before, so we're learning together. Just taking and dapping up a little bit of rust all over the place. I don't know why there would be rust on the top of a fender. Probably from like a tarp or something rubbing on it. That's what I'm going with anyway. Shit, I got that primer everywhere, dude. It's on my bumper and everything. Now what's in my cup is dried, so I'm going to come back and put a little bit more in there. It doesn't take very much. You guys can see it down in there. It's not very much. Just dab the end of it up. See, this way it looks like up here. It looks like up here where the tarp just laid against it and was rubbing the whole time. That's kind of what I'm going for here. Use different pressures too. You know, you can lightly dap it, or you can like slam it to where the bristles curve. You get a bunch more paint out of it that way. Kind of trail my rust off the side here. Dang old hair in my mouth. I'll run a small streak of it up this way here. See how I'm dabbing it kind of heavy and then just patting it down? like some happy little trees. It's starting to look like something. I don't know if it's good or not, but it's definitely starting to look like something. And then it just kind of tapers out right there. See, now the whole top of the fender here looks like a rust spot. Now I'm going to just do that right here off camera, and then down here in the corner, and I'll bring you guys back and let you see what it looks like. Okay, we have been working pretty decently here. The next step is I've got a red Scotch-Brite, and I'm just going to kind of lightly buzz over everything. Kind of take some of the shine off of it, you know. Also helps to eliminate this sharp edge between the two colors. And don't get aggressive. Well, get aggressive, but don't get too carried away with the Scotch-Brite pack, because you will go right through your base paint pretty quick. Kind of like I just did right there. Oopsie doopsie. Now, if you look along the fender, you can, yes, you can still tell it's a different color blue, but it looks pretty all right. In total, this took me about 15 minutes, but now it doesn't look so, you know, brand newish. And what I'm going to do on this side, because it's got such a good, already has a rust profile here, I'm just going to follow that profile all the way down. We're going to stay out of this valley, and then over here on the edge we'll just kind of make up some shit. Except on this side, the rust is on the top of the fender, and it kind of had a shape in it before. So I'm going to carry that shape, and then this one will probably come down about right here and just kind of run it along. I'll leave that alone. Now this is not the best process by any means, but it's going to take time. It actually turns out decent. I'm not sure if this will be decent or not, but we'll find out, right? Guys, don't be scared to go back and work spots that you had already worked, because you'll realize once you get to a certain point and you step back and you look at it, that some part of it's not going to look right, or it's going to look obvious, and which is fine. You know, it's not supposed to look 100% natural, because it's not 100% natural, but also saw a trick with this stuff where a guy took a like a Walmart bag and put his hand inside of it and then sprayed his hand and stuck it on the paint and then peeled it off, and it gave kind of a marbling effect. Man, it looks super cool. Not really the look I'm going for here, but I'll keep that trick in the book for later. Guys, there's no real pattern here. We're just kind of sticking it wherever and then blending it out. Remember, I want it to look like it's been like covered with something heavy and tied down in the corner, so that rust has to come down around this edge just a little bit. That's what we're going for here. Hi, buddy. Can I just stick in there? If I just can you get the cap? Let's step back and have a gander. Again, it's obviously a different color, but out in the sun it will fade out a little bit. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with that. I think it looks pretty alright. Once the trim and everything's on there, it'll look way better. But as far as like following my wear profile, I think I did it pretty good, because the fender right here starts to turn down, so it's like a crown right here. So the rust following that crown makes sense to me, because like I said, right after that paint disappears, the fender starts to turn down, so a tarp would just lay right there. I think this line might be a little bit too perfect, so I'll come back through and put just a little bit along that edge, just to rough it up like this one here. And then I'll hit it with the Scotch-Brite, then we'll be back. Now the time has come. I've got satin and I have gloss. I'm probably going to spray with the satin because I do plan on buffing this car, but the front clip of this car is just, let me show you. The paint on the front fenders is terrible, right? But if you look at the fender and then you look at the door, the paint on the rest of the car is fantastic. Will shine up nicely, but the front clip I don't have a lot of faith for, so I'm just probably going to shoot it with a satin and that'll be it. Well, now, if nothing else, at least the very end of the front fender will be shiny, so it'll be rudely obvious what happened there. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to do it on this one. I will untape it, put all the pretty stuff back on in here, get a couple of B-roll shots, and that'll be it. That's a very quick and very dirty way to paint match, or Foxtina, whatever you want to call it. I probably should have been a little more careful with the color blue that I chose, but I took a picture of this piece right here in the shade and in the sun, and the cap on that paint actually matched up really well, but the paint inside the can did not match the cap on the can, so that's where we went off the rails. It's fine. Like I said, I'll let it sit out in the sun for a few months. The front of those fenders will fade out a little bit and then it'll be just fine. But that's I think that's going to be a wrap on this one today. As soon as my parts show up, we're going to go through this carburetor again and make the truck run, hopefully, right? At least better. I'll be happy with better. Doesn't have to be right. It just has to be better, you know? This is stupid. But, you know, if you're not already, you should consider subscribing to the channel, because we do a lot of half-ass tutorials like this of weird shit that probably nobody else wants to learn how to do, but that's what we're doing out here. And yeah, sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it's not. Whatever, you know. Also, Frank has been asking for a puppy for over a year, because we lost our last dog a few years back, and no matter how many times I said no, we got a dozer. Dozer is a, what do they call it, a cowboy corgi? So he's half corgi, half blue heeler. So he's awkwardly short, really long, and bites the shit out of you for no reason, because he's always trying to herd you through the house, you know. But you know, Frank got a dog for his birthday, so. All right, guys, that's gonna do it. I'm gonna stop rambling and get my mess kind of cleaned up, and then get this edited so I can get it posted for you guys, because I've been a really bad YouTuber lately, but I'm hoping to change that. So thanks for stopping by, guys. Appreciate you spending your time with me today, or every other day you stop by. Remember, guys, your dreams aren't going to work unless you do. So don't let a project scare you. Just take it one piece at a time, because that was a huge undertaking, and it's still not done, but it is better. Thanks for watching, guys.